Recording in process. Hey everyone. Today, welcome to Tonal Distancing. Today we have a very special guest, Haley Demos. She's a musician based out of Dallas, Texas, and she happens to be my fiance as well. So that's how I know her.
What are the chances of that? That's crazy.
I know.
Wow.
This is social distancing compliant. We're not breaking any COVID rules.
And we're almost
tonal
completely
distancing
vaccinated. So.
Almost 1.5 doses in. 1.5.
What's a half dose?
1.5 doses.
Where'd you
Get
get
one
that
Johnson,
vaccine?
not the other Johnson.
I know. So Haley's been doing music ever since she was a kid. I know in high school, growing up, you talked about doing choral music. You're primarily a singer-songwriter and vocalist, and how you grew up approaching music more from a choral, formally trained classical background. And kind of as you went through college and graduating college, shifted towards writing more like acoustic pop, folky kind of music. I know when we met, that was something that we bonded over, was kind of our different music styles. And over the years, it's been really cool to see you kind of grow that music into kind of the electronic space too, kind of getting more interested in like recording and producing in Ableton and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I know that over the last few years we've played shows together where we've primarily played your music live at like farmers markets and just kind of local gigs in the Dallas area. And I think you can correct me if I'm wrong, but you've described your sound as neo soul kind of, and
yeah, that's kind of the direction I want to take it, and I've kind of had like a change from, I guess, choral music into what I really wanted to define as my own music, and I'm sure we'll get into talking about that.
And we have one of Haley's songs that we'll be playing today. We'll be playing together. It's usually how we've been playing live. So,
Where can you find Miss Demos?
You can follow her on Instagram at Haley Demos Music, and we'll have a link to all her Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, wherever you listen to music.
And I have a single out right now on pretty much Spotify, Apple Music, any place you get your music. It's called Speak Your Truth. It's a lot about, me and my life and some of the things that I've overcome, and kind of like speaking what is true to you and hopefully inspiring others through that. So if you have the opportunity, love for y'all to get a listen to that.
Well, thanks.
I really enjoyed it. No, I was just saying I really enjoyed the song. I'm sorry, I did forget the name of the song earlier. But like from a songwriting perspective, and I know we can get into this hopefully later, there was I think you ended like the phrasing of probably the chorus with like a really interesting chord that I felt like led to like through the rest of the song, but like kind of broke it up in a nice way. But I'm just curious what the song is, like the key it's in and that chord that you use. So hopefully we can get into that later.
Yeah, and I'd love to get into it, because the funny thing is y'all are probably going to talk a lot of theory, and that's not the way I approach guitar. So this should be a really interesting conversation.
All right, so
you overestimate our techniques.
You slap at the 6th string, and then the noise comes out. Well, thanks for being here with us, Haley. We're glad to have you in Tonal Distancing.
Thanks for having me.
So I think without further ado, I think we deserve a toast. It's been a couple weeks, but a toast to the lords of music and ladies of music. Please guide us on our musical journey and treat us kindly as we drink. Zach, I'll let you start it off, and Haley, I'll let you end it. Zach, who are you toasting this week?
Toasting to Andy Wood.
Andy Wood, very nice.
Andy Wood.
Prabhu, who are you toasting?
I'm going to toast to a Tamil composer named Anirudh.
Okay, nice. I'm going to just toast to Tracy Guns of LA Guns. Just been listening to 80s glam. And Haley, who are you toasting?
To everybody that doesn't have a name but also writes music.
Oh shit.
To that. I can cheers to that.
Wow.
Oh shit.
So are you toasting to us? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. To tonal distancing on the other podcasts with sub 5 listeners.
Yeah, I actually wanted to do the toast because music has been therapy for me for my whole life. So even when I played music and sung music, I'd do it in choir, but I'd come home and I'd write my own songs, and I got into songwriting with poetry when I took a little mini class in I think it was middle school, and I just loved it so much it allowed me to put my thoughts and emotions in a place that felt safe. So the reason I really chose that in particular is to give everybody a space that you don't have to put out music to be an artist. You don't have to claim yourself as an artist and be a big name to really make an impact. And it's about the people and lives that you touch, and that can be one's enough, you know?
That's really awesome. I feel like a lot of people, and I think probably Zach Prabhu and I, we're all just trying to clamor to be better than Slash at this point. And
I have no eyes on being better than Slash. I already know I am.
And we just
damn.
We just have to be happy with conversations like this for now.
For now.
No. But no, I think that's a really good point to just say that I think, especially nowadays, you just get caught up in trying to become something and not just enjoying who you are, where you are at that moment.
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually something that Prabhu has taught me in my search for music. Because one of the things that I struggle with is with choral music and my background in just Western music in general. I was very hyper fixated on this is the way that a piece is supposed to be sung. It's all written on a piece of paper. They tell you the exact dynamics. I participated in Allstate and did really good at that. I was really good at reading a piece of music and figuring out exactly the style, how to sing it. But I struggled to find my own voice and to truly enjoy it. And that's something I really did appreciate, especially at the beginning of our relationship. You were teaching me Ableton and how to explore music and play it for enjoyment rather than play it to impress.
Came in with that System of a Down and shit, and I was just like, yeah, fuck the theory.
Before you play the intro, what's one of those things that you've changed in that process of maybe more of a formatted way of singing to kind of the way you sing now? What's one of the biggest differences you've noticed in yourself?
Oh gosh, the way that I sing in general is almost completely different. So, before I used to sing very operatic style, like very opera style. Actually, it's funny because I think I freaked you out the first time. I was like, yeah, I kind of sing opera. And then I came out and
no,
sung.
You didn't say you sing opera. You were like, yeah, I sing. And then you were like, oh, and I was like, holy shit. And I was like, okay. I think.
I was worried for a couple seconds there. You're just going to walk out of the room and just not come back.
No, I was like, maybe we should start an Iron Maiden cover band.
Yeah. Yes.
Someone who can hit the notes,
I mean, there's still time. So keep the opera. So you've gone from more operatic to is it neo soul? So let's hear that more than what you would do now.
You want to hear the before?
I want to hear the before and after.
So I've gotten a little bit worse at the choral singing, but I might peak, so we'll have to figure it out. But
that projection is
dope.
Phenomenal. Being in the lower range, dude, my projection is terrible, and you're all the way back here, and I could. That was awesome.
It's a very different sound for sure. I actually had to untrain a lot. I went to took a couple of voice lessons just to experiment. So we can talk about it more later, but I sing very. It's almost like having an apple in the back of your mouth. You raise your soft palate, you have almost like a darker sound, like a yawn. And now I sing in like more in the mask, but with a lower timbre, depending on the style. And like,
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, is that what you have for us for the intro today? The lower timbre?
yeah.
All right. Are you guys ready?
I feel like a singing noob because, like, I'm just like, oh yeah, someone sings. You know, like.
I'm telling you, man, that first time I was like, oh shit, that's not what. It's different because it's like, it's like you said, the projection. I was like, I feel like I hear it everywhere. Like,
Yeah, no, I mean,
like there's reverb in the room right now. You don't need a mixer. Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
it was super impressive. But let's hear the new stuff. Let's hear the Haley Demos, in the streets these days.
well, really, this is a song that we play out in,
Not at
like,
the Detroit
on
Opera House.
the seats.
On the
We're playing
grass,
the
yeah.
PJ's
On the
Lager
grass.
House now.
We've been playing this doing busking shows. You want to introduce the song? The riff that we're.
Yeah, so this is called BFB. And it's I don't know, it's a lot about I pour a lot into my music as far as whatever emotion I'm feeling at the time, and that's kind of when I feel like the songs are the best. So play you a little bit of this, and honestly, I just started writing it when I got this awesome guitar. It just felt really different, and I just felt like I could emulate the style that I've been trying to achieve for a while. So I'm really excited about that.
Gresh hollow body, but I don't remember the model name. What is it?
It doesn't matter.
It's good.
It kind of looks like mine, to be honest. Is it?
We'll get into that later.
Yeah.
Let's first play the song, and then we can nerd out.
All right.
Tell you that you don't understand me. Always telling me that you know. But lately I don't know if you get it. I don't wanna ask you to go. Sometimes I laugh to the sides. One of us might take it too far. Always seem to fight over small things, like how you choose to drive your car. Baby, can we just forget the problems that we make? I don't wanna ever separate. Take my hand and let's just throw our plans down the drain. I don't ever wanna explain losing my best friend and babe. That's just a little bit from the song, but yeah, a very different style.
I thought it sounded the exact same. I heard no
You should
difference.
make an opera cover.
No, the day and night on that. Man, that was like, I mean, you went from, I don't know if it was like some like Italian romance opera that you were singing earlier, and then this was just like, just real life, like best friend in bed. Is that what BFB
Best
is?
friend in Bay.
Best friend in Bay. Okay. I went with best friend in bed because I liked the
That
twist.
too? No, I'm just kidding. It's like
Who's that?
so the concept was like having somebody that is not just like your romantic partner that you like do a bunch of like lovey-dovey stuff with, right? The concept that I was really trying to emulate is like some of the struggles that you go through when you have somebody that is your best friend and then also you're in a relationship with, and how like sometimes you hit a point when like you may have a rough patch, but they're your best friend and you really want to see it through. You don't want to lose that relationship. You don't want to like, how do you figure that out? And so
Like,
naturally I took it to my words, writing.
like when the ring light doesn't match up, you gotta just move on. Like you can't let those arguments. You can't let those arguments tear you guys
You
down.
can't let those arguments be recorded on a Zoom
on a Zoom podcast.
There you go.
Couples that podcast together hopefully stay together, but probably a low rate of that, but we'll make it happen.
I think it's a high rate. I mean, look at like your mom's house or like Tiger Belly. They're still together. Those are random
don't know any of
podcasts that you
those,
guys
so.
don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I was
Like
like, I thought you were
people.
literally saying something about his mom.
Yeah, I was like,
I was like, yeah, look at your mom and dad.
Did you say about my mom? Then I was like, does she have a podcast?
You don't know your mom and dad podcast, probably?
Also, my mom listens to this podcast, so watch what you say.
Hi, I will not. But you're
She's one of our five?
She is one
She's
of
one of our five?
Well, her, my dad, and my brothers. That's 3 right there.
But did they all listen on the same account?
Shit. That's true.
Do they listen together? Because I know it counts as one listen.
Yeah.
Yeah, make sure they listen separately, please.
Yeah.
Keep on top of that. No, but so take us through the writing process like a little bit. I'm kind of interested in maybe like the challenges you had in writing, and then also like the vocal melody. Some of the challenges, like you nailed I for whatever reason I just remember the word was car, but you nailed like I don't know, you kind of did this slide down in car, and you nailed it, and I don't know, like I could tell that, like, I don't know, hopefully this isn't rude. I could tell you like you worked at that to make sure it worked well, and I think it really did.
Yeah, like that's not, so I'm really glad that you caught that, because it's not something I initially added in there. It's something that as I sang it, I don't like to have my music all the time as like a hard, like, this is what it is. It's kind of like when you have a moment when you, I'm sure, go into like a guitar solo, like you kind of want the music to live and have breath. So sometimes things just...
What is that?
Speaking of breath...
more notes.
Yeah, more notes, more polyrhythms, no life.
How could less be more? Is that what he says? Ingve is like... He's like, less is more, but how could less be more? And then he just shreds, you know? He said that. That's a real quote, I swear.
It makes me think of, like, to Haley's point, it makes me think of like the exact opposite, where it's like, I think it's David Gilmour. It's like, he tries to play guitar as if he's playing like a wind instrument or singing, because you need to breathe at some point.
Embouchure.
Yeah, that is interesting.
You gotta make sure your embouchure is correct when you play that guitar.
So what were some of the challenges in writing this?
Yeah, so I think a lot of the times what I do is, so I have an emotion that I'm sitting with, and I kind of just like sit down and try to write out words that I'm feeling. And for this, like, I think what I struggle with was taking the direction of like, okay, so there's this part of the beginning that's like, oh my gosh, you're not understanding me. Like, is this something that we can't get through? Like, what's going on? And I was trying to decide which direction to go with the song. And I write and have written a lot of very depressing, sad music. And this is something that I didn't want to be that, especially with this, almost with the new guitar. I was like, no, I want this to go in a really like different direction, a really happy direction. And so I ended up trying to figure out like a playback memory. But for me, I think the hard thing is once I write a couple of verses and I figure out like a chord progression that I love, I'm like, okay, so now is the chorus. I can write words, but sometimes I'm just not sure how to meld in a chorus sounding kind of thing on the guitar. And that's something I really struggle with, trying to stay in the same like key and whatnot, because what I really do when I pick up the guitar is I take a chord that I know and then I change some things about it. So really I initially had zero idea what the chord structure was until I tried to write it down for you. And they're like, okay, so what's the chord? And I'm like, so it's these, like, hold your finger here. And
I can't hear you, P.
We can't hear you, probably.
Had you been just like a B minor 9 or something, I would have been like, the fuck? And like, I feel like when you explained it, it was more based on shapes and like like that riff that we were just playing. To me, I just think about it as the shapes and like it's like blocks. So then it's like easier to kind of like fathom rather than thinking as like this is a B minor sus 9 or whatever.
Yeah, like I really do think about it in shapes. Like, so I have to explain it by like not telling you the chord pattern. I like write it down with like the little like was it, like
chord
the tabs
chart.
Like you probably can't see it, but I literally like I have it. It's too light, too much light, but like
That
that's
is
how I
awesome.
write.
It's written in white
We
ink,
can
so it's
see it, yeah.
secretive. You gotta buy the tabs for full
You should
price.
just put it in an Excel spreadsheet.
Yeah, exactly. Wait. So, what is the first funky chord? Where are we landing?
So I think it's B minor 7.
Do you want to play it, or do you want me to? So it's all on the 7th fret, and it's the 7th, and then you skip the A string, you mute it, and then you do the 7th fret on the D, and then the G.
So yeah, most
Okay.
of the stuff I do actually when I write, I finger pick.
Okay.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, no
Actually,
worries.
I was like, how do I explain it? Like, I don't actually know how to explain it without like. Pardon Let's see, it's been a minute, but yes. So I really just, and then I don't know what it's called, but like I put a pattern.
Like a slap.
Yeah.
Just a slap.
Because that's kind of how I get that like emotion with it being not really on a specific like 4/4 pattern.
Mhm.
And then it's D major 7 in the like same area, like so it's second string, second, third, fourth, fifth, with the 5, 7, 6, 7. And then F minor 9 on 9. So the same shape. Or just moved over. So to the 2, 4, 5 for the strings. It's 9 across. It's just the same as the first.
Oh, okay. Got my bad.
And then shift it back to, it's still on the same fret, but up, I guess. I'm like, okay, I'm like back, but then back doesn't make sense. So this is interesting. I've actually never explained it really. I've just written it down. And then it goes from 9 across to, for the second string 9, third string 8, and then fourth string 9.
It's like a Hendrix chord.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh.
And when you play
That's
that, when you play that bar, it's actually easier than with one fret to just play 3 fingers like that, and then shift it to that, and then that.
Do you want to share like how you choose to do it? So like I wanted to explain from like how I like kind of like intended it, but then there's some like almost like liberty with the way that you play it that you kind of like expanded on it.
Sure. Let's not use the strap. It'll be easier.
I really like the last chord though that you put in there, because there's like so just like breaking it down a little bit, it sounds like it's rooted in B minor, right?
Mm-hmm.
The last chord you use, that kind of Hendrixy one, I'm gonna assume the index finger is on like the leading tone, so it like leads really nicely back into the original chord.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, I didn't actually think about it like that.
Yeah, it's actually very easy to play. That's what I like about it, because it's like kind of like a rhythmic exercise. It's like, so that's why I was saying I play it with 3 fingers instead of like because it's this, then mute the A, then you do the next three or next two strings on the same. And I like sliding into the next one. And then it's like a da-da-da-da. So it's like kind of like a, yeah, it's like a stutter.
Yeah.
So the first time through you go, and then the second time you just go and hold it.
Okay. So did you develop the chords like while you were developing like the song itself, and that's kind of how it went the way, or did you come up with like the melodies and everything first?
Yeah,
and
then
sorry.
No,
then just go in reverse and then like try to create chords around it.
And it honestly, like, there's no set way I normally do it. I usually kind of like think of some words, and then also try to put them to chords first, because like you can do it either way. You could go one or the other direction, but I really like to try to emulate what I'm feeling, and a chord to me can completely change the way I'm feeling. So even the key that it's in. So I try to kind of like merge those together to find that perfect emotion. Actually, one of the things that the little lick that I wanted to share at the end talks about, like, words are a lot, and you can speak, 1,000 words essentially, and have that equal to a picture. But to me, music is so much more than words, because there's emotion involved in it. That's just, even if you read poetry, you can feel some of it, but there's something with the way something sounds that just adds even more depth to it.
Example.
I mean, yeah, like how you can make a guitar talk with the way that you bend the notes. I can't do that, but
I can't eat it all.
Probably does not know how to feel, but I'm sure that's no new thing to you. But so.
Oh, ouch!
Wow.
All right, you all get your partners on the show, and then
My partner.
we'll do a round robin roast fest. And then...
She's unavailable for the next eternity. Catch me in the next life.
Wow.
Hey, your mom watches this show. She's gonna laugh at that a lot.
She will.
And say she's gonna send you that clip. Please send probably that clip. Your whole family.
Which is ironic because you think like a musician is actually somebody that like is more in touch with their emotions, ideally, almost to a detrimental degree sometimes.
Do you think a musician is more in touch with their emotions, or do you think that some musicians use their instrument as a vessel for their emotions, and then like leave their real emotions behind? Maybe I'm just thinking of like the characteristic like musician or artist that like can deals with life through their medium that they produce art in, but then doesn't deal with like the real world so great.
So that's a really interesting question. I would say that a musician is in touch with their emotions just like an artist is in touch with their emotions, because I think our forms of creativity come from emotion.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that we always know how to handle it, and doesn't mean people are going to like the response that we have to whatever emotion we're processing. But I think everybody like experiences the emotion in whatever art form or way that they are being creative.
Expression versus like awareness of them. Yeah. I mean, because like a lot of times, I mean, like because for me, like one of the things that I've been learning from Haley that's really different for me. Well, I've been learning how to sing better and learning like better vocal technique, and with singing, I've been a lot more.
You rock, by the way.
Let me take the original audio clip of her doing it and then put it over my singing. So I've been more confident at singing and singing with better technique and all that kind of stuff. And like I'm like more confident in writing vocals for stuff. But the thing that really weirds me out is writing lyrics because I'm like, this is some weird vulnerability that like I feel so weird putting it in words and being like, does this person know it's about them? Does this person think about like, or like just putting like, how do I come off saying this without being robotic?
Wait, what was that? What was that? Yes, was that? Did you read some of Prabhu's stuff? Like,
no,
fuck you! I won't do what you're telling me. Fuck you,
bro. Just do the dishes. Don't write songs about it.
No, it's twofold. It's one, like that's how I feel often. That's why I try to write more cryptically. Like when I first started writing poetry, oh my gosh, it was great for my age, but it was very blunt.
I'm happy you can say that your poetry was great for your age, because I'm pretty sure my first song was like, I love that girl. That was the quality of my song.
I mean, poetry was like my closet thing. Also, this song was written during our relationship, so I was like, you want me to dissect it?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely when you wrote like the car lyric, I was like, the fuck did you say about my car? I was like,
we legitimately have like, we used to have so many fights about driving,
or like
and how each of us was driving while we were driving, and I was like,
and like it's interesting. Yeah, so it was interesting playing a song, or on the flip side, being like, whoa, like you're putting out some like real stuff out there about it. Where like for me, I feel like I can express those in like a verbal thing of like talking to someone, and for me music was always to like put the emotion in the sound, like it's like a soundtrack or something like that. But in terms of the vulnerability of putting it, I know the feelings I'd want to put into lyrics, I know what I'd want to talk about, but it's terrifying to do that because it's just like I don't know how I would do it best. So I feel like there are people who are like, yeah, I feel like most people who feel that emotion strongly to channel it one way are in tune with it. But
yeah, how do you do that? Since you, Kingdom, you do both.
Nah, so I was gonna ask a question, but you asked me a question. So how do I channel my? Well, this actually kind of goes into my question. But like, how do I channel my writing, my music, my lyrics, and playing guitar, essentially? So one thing I wanted to ask is like the subject matter of like lyrics for a lot of people. I think like the subject matter for a lot of people, I mean, you hear this in most songs, is like about like love and relationships. And ironically, not saying I don't write about relationships, because that happens. Like I think that's very easy to write. Not necessarily easy, but since it's so intimate and you feel that so intimately in your life, it's really easy to write about relationships and that sort of the sort of bonds that you have with other people. So a lot of the times when I write music, I definitely don't think I'm the best. I do find myself going back to love and relationships, but I do try to at least challenge myself in the very beginning to try to write about like something that isn't like a romantic relationship. But I can't say I necessarily like really succeed. I think now that I'm thinking about my lyrics, I think some of the best lyrics I have or best songs I've written, which aren't that great, but they are about relationships. But really, most of the time I just kind of approach it where I do write the guitar part first, because that's, I think, historically where I felt like the most comfortable. And then I'm trying to put that layer of music on top of it. And actually through talking to you, Haley, and Prabhu, but mostly you, Haley, like we've kind of like had maybe the conversations where all three of us are on the phone, where you kind of like really made me like think about more about like my vocal melodies, because that, I think when I'm playing guitar and just singing, right, like it's so easy to be like, I haven't sung in so long. I can't even remember the words now. Oh, sweet November, I bring the cold. Oh, sweet November. So like that, I just sang and played. I didn't really think about the vocal line. But the more I'm like singing and playing, I think I try to at least break down what notes am I trying to hit. How can I impress Haley? So she's like, oh, he actually does have some. He doesn't sound good while he sings, but like I can tell he put some thought in it.
Well, I think that's a really interesting point in how you approach vocals, because I mean everybody approaches things differently, right? You write guitar first, and then you kind of do like you sing, but you almost do like, at least from what I just heard, like a spoken emotion. So
yeah.
That's something that I don't do as well, that I'm trying to learn how to do, is like the kind of thing. Like, but also singing at the same time, like like the
like almost like the natural like and like
yeah,
when someone
like
speaks.
the crinkly that you can hear.
Yeah.
Like
That
the
gives
vocal fry thing.
yeah, vocal
Yeah.
fry. There we go. That gives the voice character. So even just the way that you say words, or like the way that you play guitar, adds character in a different way. Like how, like Zach.
The tobacco companies would just tell you to smoke. It's like
right. No, I gotta learn it without the smoking. Zach, like, how do you put emotion into your playing?
Vibrato.
I don't know. I was gonna say
He very methodically writes out an
it's
Excel
kind of a-
spreadsheet.
it's like a
Zach has arguably the most melodic playing, but with the most methodical robotic process, which is so funny because you're like, practice makes perfect, and which is good. Yeah,
It's really needed.
I honestly don't even know how to answer the question. I guess I think vibrato. I mean, like guitar. No, I don't really have an answer. I feel like I unconsciously hear melodies. Like I don't like when I go to play a lick, like if I'm improvising on something, like I'll hear a melody. And I think I've had a brief period of time where I kind of tried practicing, like thinking of a melody and then trying to play it. So if I was like, wow, bumpy now. Like I can't sing it in pitch, like you know what I mean?
you need to be the scat guitar player.
Yeah.
You know, like
You need the talk box.
I do have one.
In a box.
I haven't debuted it yet on the podcast. It's actually in my closet, but yeah, I don't know. I just kind of do it, I guess. What a lame.
I disagree. I think what you just did is its own form of character that you put in. Like, you're actually thinking about it. You're just not thinking of what character am I adding. You're already expressing that.
And
it's cool.
They're different modes too, because there's so many different things you can do with different instruments, and like with vocals, that what you have that you can do on a guitar is add your voice, and like the way that you sing a certain word can also change like how you interpret. You can feel the emotion in that word. The words can be like beautiful, but with a guitar, it's like for me, it's sound effects, like using pedals and using like effects and stuff like that, where it just gives a vibe. I don't know, the like I'm not doing anything technique wise, but then I let the Axe Effects do it, and the Axe Effects has all the emotions for me.
Buy an Axe Effects.
Axe Effects plug, right?
I don't know about you, man. I got a lot of funky sounds right here. You know, I don't even know fancy Axe Effects.
Only sex music.
Yeah, no. Yeah.
I'm like, I can't like do the meow, meow, meow.
Oh, I should have set you up with autotune on here. I can really, if we take a break, I can, but should have set you up with the opera, but with autotune.
Oh my gosh.
Opera tune.
So I want to get to kind of how this guitar brought out kind of different ways in your writing, but I actually did kind of have a question for Zach, because I do vocals and play. Prabhu's obviously on his way to being like the star of the Detroit Opera House, and Haley's obviously crushing it way beyond our wildest dreams. But Zach, how I guess the question is, have you ever tried to sing and play guitar, or has it ever been an interest, or and if it hasn't been, why hasn't it ever really been an interest?
don't know. I just don't know how to sing.
Is it just? Would you ever like want to learn?
Yeah.
Do you ever like sing and play like just some like Neil Young like in while no one's watching?
No, I mean I feel like it's also kind of like I don't want to divide up my time between learning how to sing and playing guitar because I'd rather just learn how to play guitar better.
Well,
does that make sense?
That's super valid.
You need a whole new Excel sheet that you gotta like map out.
I would need a whole seperate.
You gotta
like have my
change your macros, open up the VBA, and like
what a mess that would be. Right?
Debug all that shit. Yeah. Alias.
Just kidding. No. It would be totally smooth. I'd have 2 spreadsheets side by side, pin one to each side. Like it would be fine.
And then you'd have your audio interface spreadsheet.
Exactly. I don't know. I don't foresee myself. I wouldn't want to like be the lead singer of a band or something like that. Like if I were to learn how to sing, if that's even possible, because apparently once you hit a certain age, you can't. According to I'm 28.
Have you ever listened to
Jenkins started in System at 27?
Have you ever?
Did he really?
Mm-hmm. I use.
Do you know John Lee Hooker?
For myself.
Like he started singing at 27. That's
no, but he started in a professional band. His first band.
No, but that's different, dude.
Wait, but do you know?
Because apparently,
do you know John Lee Hooker? John Lee Hooker.
Yeah.
Dude, that you know how he actually speaks or how he actually spoke? He spoke with a stutter, man.
Yeah, but guys, like it's not a matter of willpower. I'm not talking about willpower. Like I started playing like taking guitar seriously late. Like I get that. I understand that mindset. But supposedly there's something that makes it like physically impossible. The way that your vocal cords develop, where it's much harder to develop a good singing voice.
It's actually easier if you don't have teeth. You know, you can actually get more notes. Like,
I mean, I'm sure maybe it's a little more challenging, kind of like how if we're a kid and learning like multiple languages, we absorb them a lot easier. But I don't think it's ever impossible. And I'm sure that like if somebody is tone deaf, it must be really challenging. I still think that there's a way that we can teach people how to sing. It depends on what their goals are with it. I don't know. I'd still have to see that study and like how is it being done? Because like
we need to make another podcast called Tonal Deafening, where all three of us sing, and you just lose your hearing progressively hearing us try.
You should just do an April Fool's like episode.
We missed it. Dang it. Now we gotta wait a full 12 months.
We'll do it
like awesome.
Yeah. No one will see it coming.
If we make it by next
week. Didn't announce it on the podcast.
People forget.
That's probably true. We have like 5 viewers now, so it'll still be a surprise. We have
my mom will text me like, that was not a funny episode.
Yeah, she was impressed. I guess, okay, to answer your question finally, I would like to sing background vocals, because right now I don't do that. So that would be cool. And I feel like that's obtainable as a 28-year-old adult, because I'm old. But I don't,
pre-30?
Like, could I sing and then go on... Sorry, guys. Am I the oldest? I'm the oldest, right?
Let's not compare.
Yeah,
we don't
you guys
need to
are old
about
too.
this,
We're all old. Okay?
I'm also pre-30, so
we're all pre-30.
We're all.
I got that subscription, that trial.
We're all pre-30.
No 80s
free
kids
trial
here.
for how much longer, y'all? No.
Yeah.
No 80s kids allowed.
No. Yeah.
But you,
like I don't think I could learn how to sing and then go on American Idol and win American Idol.
Why is that your goal, though? Why is that?
No, like that's not what I'm saying, guys. What I'm saying is Zach what I'm saying
Zach
is
wants to play like Slash and sing like Axl at the same time.
So that's probably it. I was gonna make it as a joke that like, well, have you seen Slash sing? That's why Zach doesn't sing. But I also feel like I feel like how you approach guitar is like a guitar player, like, because you've even talked about like you don't really write a lot of songs too, right? Like you like playing guitar, you've learned how to solo, you've learned how to like do all this stuff that has made you very professionally, I don't know the fucking word, but hireable and very easy to make money off of because you're very good at teaching guitar. You can play gigs. You learn songs, like you can play and like. So I feel like your focus has been on being a master of guitar, and like, no, I got you, man. I got you. It's not because of your age. It's just because of your priorities.
Right?
Your
Yeah,
slashiness.
totally. You're totally right, dude. I could totally win American Idol if I wanted to, man. You just say nothing. Just let's.
I could win
that's
American
fine.
Idol
Let's just move
and
on.
Survivor at the same
Zach went
time.
on
Yeah.
to lose American Idol.
Womp womp.
No, that's a really cool perspective, because that's actually like I didn't like, I may have put emotions into my own songs, but I have had a very different viewpoint on music at the beginning when I was younger in high school and when I was in choir. I took the viewpoint of like, this is the way it's supposed to be done. Like, I can experiment within the box, even if I do like jazz. You have like a key or a mode or certain things that you can and can't do. Like, it may be in like a solo or an improv, but there's a select set of like rules that kind of give you what you can and can't do. So it's really interesting to like kind of hear you talk about like how you like can play guitar and you're really good at playing guitar, but don't really have any necessary like interest in becoming like a lead singer, and how you approach that being very different.
Yeah, I feel like it's like, for me, it's interesting that you said like you're, pre-30.
Bringing up the age again. Come on.
Just say it. Just say 28, almost 29. Just say it.
No, but it's funny because like I feel like when I started singing, probably like just for like one or two songs, like just to sing "Fade to Black" by Metallica with my band in like high school and in probably like early college, because I didn't really
thought
play
that
that
was an
much in
instrumental
college.
for a second. I was like, isn't that one of their 8-minute instrumentals? It's like,
Yes.
First song I learned how to sing. This song is "Fade to Black." That's it.
But it's only because my older brother, like, he did choir in school, and for the longest time, like, he was the singer. He first started on drums, but when we moved to an apartment, he switched to bass. So he was the singer and bass player. But then I was like, I want to just sing like one song. And when I was doing that at like probably like 16, 17, like I thought like I was terrible, but like I felt like so much like, in comparison to my brother, like, oh, I'm doing this too late because he's already gotten all these chops like throughout his teenage years that he's built by being in choir. And then like there was just a point where like one of the big things for me is like playing original music is just having that I'll be honest, it's just like having that control of my songs. It's just like when you hear my beautiful, beautiful voice on a recording, and when you come to see me play live, like there's that consistency, for better or for worse. I felt like what was getting frustrating especially when I started singing like after college, when playing in bands, it was frustrating originally trying to find someone to sing for the band that would be flaky, because I ran into that like a number of times, and then I was just like, no, I was already singing like for the demos that I started writing. I was like, I might as well just do it live and get some vocal lessons. Like, I mean, I only did vocal lessons for one summer, and so you can't really tell a difference, but I did do like a little bit of work. So you can do it too, Zach. I believe in you.
That's
Thanks, dude.
That's really cool how you mentioned, like, I guess cool wouldn't necessarily be the word, but like when
It
you
is
mentioned
The coolest.
when you mentioned like having that constant comparison, that's actually something that I struggled with in my transition, because in choir there is always a set way to do things, and you can have some experimentation with it, but there's always an end goal of a tone. And so I was hyper fixated pretty much my whole life. Like, even in conversations, like some of my best friends are people that I like did choir with. And a lot of our conversations when we were in choir would focus on the music, focus on the tonality, like how is everybody blending together? Is it sounding good? And so I had this hyper like fixation on those things, which is good in some degree, but bad when you're trying to discover.
Yeah.
Because I was like, okay, so I want to do this kind of music, but I don't know how to emulate that kind of music. I don't know how to make my voice do that thing. I can only do the choral style, or I can really sound like this, and I enunciate my words when I sing. And then, you know, like I definitely can't do mumble rap. Like that's just like I can't do it. Like
you just need that jam stick that Prabhu has, and just go right into mumble rap. You know? Just play the organ chords.
I can set you up with the beats, and we can get you there. It's, I think, easier to go from what your skill set is to mumble rap than the other way around.
Fair. But my point is, like, when I'm trying to emulate the styles, I bring in that like background and the training, and it's so embedded in me. Like Zach, you were talking about how like, oh, well, I'll hear a thing and then I'll just like play it. That was how my voice was. So it's been like a process of years trying to unwork that and even come up with this. Like, even if you listen to my single, Speak Your Truth, it sounds very different even than what I sang for y'all tonight. And that's just kind of me still trying to experiment and find what I'm trying to communicate and those things. And I think it's really interesting how we like each do that. Like, Prabhu, when I first listened to some of your music, like 4 years ago, it was all instrumental. And when you were explaining what those were what the emotions behind those were, it's very different than what I had imagined what those were. And it was really cool to see that when you write your music, you get excited about people putting themselves in whatever shoes they choose and just relating to the music without necessarily having words and a theme that's what the person is taking away.
And if they want the objective emotion that I felt, I can just share them the XFX preset. They can dive into the amp settings and
you can send the preset to me, and then I would have it because I also have an XFX.
That is the thing too with vocal.
Perfect.
So wait,
incredible.
We were just talking about character and uniqueness, and you guys are just like, so yeah, we can just copy the tone like that each of us has. Oh, you guys are lame.
I think my emotions really improved with this last firmware update, and I think that,
he's sharing his emotions with me so I can feel them. I can literally turn his emotions.
I'm done with you.
And put them into my guitar. I can feel his pain.
Haley, purchase a Fender Blues Junior, and you will not be disappointed.
She has a Fender amp there. It's
Blues Junior. We're going tubes because I bet you it's not tubes.
Yeah, but just make sure you play it really quietly in your apartment.
Well, that's just because you had
a Gretsch guitar. She's got a Gretsch guitar.
See, and I think what y'all are talking about sharing the same tone, I get it. But that's an interesting topic because, like, everybody doesn't build their own guitar. Everybody, like, picks a guitar that they think suits them, kind of like you would pick a tone that you're feeling. And then you can kind of change that. Like, you can modify it. You can make it your own in different ways, whether it be like the tuning that you choose with the guitar that you choose, what you're choosing to write on it, how you're choosing to play. It's really interesting just to hear those, because that in itself is emotion.
And it works the opposite too, where like that's what's cool about the guitar is there's like a tool that you can kind of sit behind that you choose out of inspiration, but also inspires you in a different way. Like, I will write so differently on this guitar than playing on my Majesty or playing on my SG. Like your riff, it feels really comfortable playing that on this guitar, and like with especially with the finger picking, it sounds and resonates and it feels like playing a piano, honestly. And that's one of my favorite things about when we play live. I always bring this guitar because I think a lot of
different.
Yeah, it's either this or the GS Mini guitar that Taylor guitar that Haley has. Also very nice guitars.
The only guitars I ever purchased, right? Like, that's something else is I didn't believe before, like, I met you. I didn't believe that guitars really had an influence on it. I was like, okay, cool, like maybe electric versus acoustic. But I didn't really think like, okay, it's just a different like electric guitar, or it's just a different acoustic. Like you're still like playing the same thing, right?
I had to get you off that Starcaster. I had to get you onto.
It's like a cheap like bundle that my parents got, which served me great. But I didn't understand the difference until I tried it. Like I picked this up, and I was not looking for a guitar. I had purchased a guitar a few months previously, and I was like, I don't need one. I picked it up, and I was like, but this is what I've been trying to write. That's
why you belong here, Haley. You just
I can't tell you like the details about it, but there's something about like it was like a combination between acoustic guitar and an electric based on the way it played, but then it had a resonance that I didn't write this plugged in at all.
I remember that day. Like, it's like a weird because it's like I miss pre-COVID, like going to a shop and playing a guitar, and like I don't miss Guitar Center quality things, but this is a diss to Guitar Center. But the
boom, roasted,
Sweetwater all the way.
I'm still with if you sell a guitar, I will probably purchase it from you.
I mean that's the nice part about it.
As long as you have a good return policy.
Yeah, exactly. But like Guitar Center, I remember going and we both came out with the guitar. I got the 12-string Dan Electro, and you got out with this. And
you went for a guitar. I ended up.
I went for a guitar, and
your influence on me.
And well, hey, I like that you like gear because like we can share things, and like to me it was interesting because you were trying a couple different hollow bodies, and I remember I think there was like a double cutaway, like Ibanez or Epiphone, and I was like, yo, that looks sick. Or the ones that I was like, oh, this feels really good. And then for you're like, no, it's just not like this one has a much
didn't get it. Yeah,
rounder neck.
You didn't like the double cutaway. The neck was rounder, and it just felt like sat better for you and everything.
Me or her?
Haley, it's her guitar.
Yeah.
She's
the guest, man. Like, shut up. You have every week.
There was something about when I picked up this guitar, like it just felt comfortable, and then it also wasn't super challenging for me to play because, like, picking up an acoustic, and as somebody that didn't play that much, I didn't write very well on it. I didn't know a lot of chord structure. I didn't know a lot of things, so I couldn't press down as hard. So when I moved to writing on an electric for a while. And this was kind of the perfect in between that I could play around with the chord shapes a little bit more, especially with finger picking because it had resonance, but I didn't have to play it on an acoustic guitar. So that's something I thought was really interesting, and it was like there was just something special.
So, but you wrote the whole song just on the Gretsch Unplugged. Did you even plug it in once before?
Nope.
Wow, that's I think that's wild to like buy a hollow body that's like obviously acoustic electric basically.
Well, okay, I plugged it in at the store.
Yeah.
But like when I brought it home,
I guess you did.
Yeah.
I don't remember you like testing it like through the amp to being like I don't think that was your biggest like worry about it.
No, because I'd known about hollow bodies before, and I always thought they were cool because in high school I knew somebody that got one. And I always thought, oh, that's cool. Like, I'd never heard of that because it reminded me, like, I think I played violin for like a year. And I was like, it's a violin, but it's a guitar. Like,
I feel that.
Was that used or new?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
all right, let me grab mine.
A kind of nerdy thing that I really like about it is the this part. I love that.
Yeah, I had no idea what that was. You had to explain that.
I love the wrap. I love wraparound bridges when the strings like wrap around and it gives it that spanky kind of. I forget what it's called. I've done it. I do it on my SG now too. But like, I think Kingdom, you were the first one that told me about it with your Les Paul that you like do that and you wind
I do it
around.
I do the tail wrap on
your
my,
Strat.
No, on my Les Paul.
I was like, is that possible on a Strat? I was like, your bridge is all fucked up. And
basically, I just reroute the strings across the body. No, I do it. I did it on my Les Pauls. I think it just like it's something I saw in like some older photos of like old like vintage Les Pauls, and I was like kind of like curious about like why would you do that? The real reason like why you do it like with like a typical just like tunematic bridge and then tailpiece, the reason why you do it is it creates extra length in the string and it makes the string have just like slightly less tension, and so it makes it stuff like bending easier, and it makes playing on it just like a little bit easier.
It's spanky. That's the word. That's like the weirdest word to use for it. But like when you play it, you hear like this like.
I feel like spankiness is just in the playing, because I mean you can get spanky on anything, right? But when you were talking about like Haley about like playing an electric guitar and feeling the ease of playing it, since I play like electric guitar so often, right? I noticed that the same thing with acoustic guitars. It just the strings are always just well, not like it's like a terrible thing that they're heavy. It gives it a lot more resonance, but they're heavy, and then it sometimes like I feel like if it's too much of a struggle to play on it, it like stifles like the encouragement to play and write on something.
Yeah, like the style is just completely different to me. Like
yeah,
that GS Mini that you have is beautiful. I love that guitar. That both these guitars, I don't even think you've had to like change the strings that often or you've never taken it for a setup. Like I've changed the strings on it, but that's about it. And like it sounds like.
Yeah.
So can we get Haley with a guitar in her hands, and
I'll
maybe
go get my...
if you want to show us like maybe some of the other stuff you've written, you know, inspired either by your Taylor or by this bad boy here.
Sure.
In hindsight, I don't think our guitars really look very similar at all.
I mean, they kind of do.
They say Gretsch on them.
They say Gretsch, yeah.
They have.
That's really about it.
I mean, I would say that they look similar.
Hers has more knobs.
Yeah, get more knobs.
Honestly, okay, so the knobs aren't labeled. And I was like, so what do they do?
Yeah, I mean, like, that's fair. I feel that.
Yeah, what the hell? Isn't there like a knob like up here on it or
this
something?
One?
Yeah, what does that one do?
Oh, that's
so this is just the level.
It's like, just a master volume,
yeah.
so you can have two.
I always want to know that.
You can have the two separate, and then the master. So like for something like this, it's nice because it doesn't matter what pickup you're on. It's just like a.
That's clever.
It's really cool.
Oh, I didn't even know what my own knob was for.
Captain.
Yeah,
do you guys
just
know
want to
like
sell it, don't you?
Yeah, but every time I play it, I don't want to sell it.
Have you seen those new SGs by Kirk Douglas who like plays in the Roots? Like it's like a 3 pickup SG. Yeah. He has a very sneaky like master volume on the pick guard, and I thought it was brilliant.
Ooh.
And I thought it was like so brilliant, but now like I'm hearing that like Gretsch has been doing this, like just put the master volume here and we're all happy. So it makes me jealous of your guitar.
That's really smart.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh, that's such an interesting placement too, because I would have not thought about that.
Well, it's like
yeah.
When you're playing different guitars, right? Like one thing I really like about like a Strat is where the volume is placed. I think it works better when I have like gain. Because like a lot of players use the volume to make it more aggressive with a gain or less aggressive with a gain. So that's why one of the reasons I really like playing a Strat like over time. But with like your Gretsch, you have two pickups. So when like I play my Les Paul, I'll sometimes just turn down the volume on one pickup to switch and kind of have a boost between two pickups. But that's just more technical jargon. Sorry.
No, that's really cool. Like, and again, like I know none of this. So like all the things you're saying, I'm like, oh, that's how they make that sound.
You definitely play down some of what you know. Like you've definitely you've definitely experimented with stuff on.
What she's been in the Axe Effects blocks?
No.
Thank God. Get a Fender Blues Jr.
This preset is called Clean Demos. So
that is funny though, because like everybody thinks like my music name is I'm demoing music.
I didn't think that. I just thought it was like I didn't know if that was like your real last name or if it's just like a cool like moniker that you wanted to use. I was like, all right, I'm down for it.
I mean, I wanted to use it because I was like, yo, this is actually perfect for music because I'm demoing music, but then also it's my last name, Demos, which is perfect. So I was like, why not? Just use my real name. But yeah. So
what's some of the stuff that's you've been inspired to write on this guitar?
Oh gosh. This one in particular, like I feel like I really write a different style. I was like looking through my my different
So
I
like
have
you've
I have
probably
a
been
lot
writing
of
stuff
notes.
like.
It's actually been a minute.
Is that something that you've been writing?
No.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so I can't wait to take you off my shoulders. Well, that was horrible.
No,
but
I thought it was really good. I liked the example of like kind of. So is this like kind of how would you characterize this against how I've written before on like the acoustic?
Yeah, so like I feel like this just allows me to move around a lot more. Use I guess chords to kind of lead into other chords. Like I can experiment with like, and that's something I've been looking up more is like if I have a chord, looking up like just different versions of it. Like the really weird like minor 7, minor like
flat
sharp.
7, flat 5.
Yeah, like just the unusual sounding ones. To see
Have you
if
seen
it
that like
fits.
chord matrix thing that like, or not matrix, but like chord diagram where like they'll like point from like different chords, like to you can go like from like some weird like just a minor 7, and it's like okay, from this minor 7 you can go to this minor sus 67 chord, like it just
so yeah,
crazy.
like I will sometimes look those up, but what I think is even more interesting, and like, and so like sometimes I think that if I just took theory, like I would write in a more boring style, and I think if I was more comfortable in theory, I could give myself better direction in a lot of ways. Like I'll come ask you for direction on like, oh, I want it to go to like and I'll like sing the note that I'm trying to go to. I'm like, what's that chord?
I actually know theory, cat's out of the bag.
A heck of a lot better than I do on guitar. I could talk like vocal stuff all day. Guitar I'm not as apt in. I talk about it in shapes, but like I mean when I'm playing like
you're talking to guitarists, like at our core we think in shapes. Like, that's
shapes
that's
and
the
like
one. No, it's like
numbers, like tabs.
Yeah, it's like the beauty of like you know I always like getting in arguments with like pianists because like obviously like so much music is kind of derived from the piano, especially now. Like even when you get into digital music, you don't have like a guitar fretboard. That's not what you pull up in like Logic or Pro Tools when you're using a software instrument. You pull up a keyboard.
Jam,
and
true,
so
true.
jam stick.
Jamstick. Yeah, exactly. But like everything from like a minor chord to like a major scale, that's a shape. That isn't like, oh, I'm playing these notes on the keys. Like the more I've learned, like I think about the intervals and everything. Yeah, I understand the intervals between notes, but I still think in shapes all the time. So
that's
I think
really
that's
interesting.
Yeah, when I think of your song, I just think of this shape, this shape, this shape, this shape, this shape. I'm like blocks, and I'm just like, oh,
Bear
that's
claw.
the song.
Yeah, because like when I
chicken leg.
When I play piano, I definitely don't really think of shapes because there's just too many keys.
Yeah.
It'd be like trying to think of a shape for an entire solo, I feel like, maybe.
And I think why the piano and guitar are very appealing instruments. Like I played saxophone and clarinet, and one of the things I liked about guitar and piano is that you can play multiple notes. You can like chords. You can play a melody and a rhythm. You can play and like a guitar lends that with like those. That's why they're both like when you think of shapes and stuff like that, you're not just only doing single note scales and stuff.
That is interesting.
You can play a shape here and you can do a shape on this end, but then you do a like thing on here, and the same with guitar with like, you know, it's it's not everything's not about the accuracy and the it's just about emotion sometimes. Like when Zach was telling me about vibrato, it's like you can't just play like a piano. You can press the note, and the note's gonna come out. Whereas like that vibrato thing, it's like you gotta do the doorknob thing, and that's really confusing, and like it's hard.
Yeah.
That is something that I thought was really interesting on guitar, is that you could emulate a voice almost more so than a piano, because you can include vibrato in its own way.
Mm-hmm.
And I did not have that when I played piano. Like, it was just, you play the note, this is the true note. Even though it's a stringed instrument, I mean, you just tune it in advance. But like, that's what I found so different and interesting and kind of appealing.
The intervals are tuned to Western intervals too. So like a lot of Eastern music, like in the Indian music, Chinese music stuff, will use tones that are in between, which like if you play a fretless guitar, fretless stringed instrument and stuff, you can bend, which is a voice doesn't just go it goes like and
like when I played violin, like it didn't have frets. We put tape on there to show you where the fret was.
Violin's so hard.
It was like, it was really interesting. It was really hard to make that, but it was cool to be able to play in between.
Mm-hmm.
I want to get a fretless guitar.
Your conductor did not think it was cool when you're playing in between.
Dude, middle school conductors are the most, like, I feel like that's such a, like...
It's hard.
Tough. Like, that job is a sacrifice that you're making. Like, that's
your department's under budget.
Depends on if you take it like you're trying to win Allstate, maybe, but like, I don't know, having the opportunity to teach kids music and get them accustomed to it, like, you pick up a recorder, you can play it.
I hear what you're saying.
I don't know. I don't think it'd be that bad.
Teaching a bunch of
because those are my fun times. That like you didn't get the more particular about like, oh, it needs to sound this way, or you're trying to achieve this very specific tone. It's like, let's just sing.
You had a good teacher then.
Oh.
Not my 6th and 7th grade band teacher.
I feel like my orchestra teachers were nice to me playing violin. I think my orchestra teacher was sad. Like just following in my brother's footsteps. My brother played violin and he like kind of stuck with it. Like I think all up into high school and everything. Well, at that point in time, like my 2nd or 3rd year playing violin, I started playing guitar and I stopped giving a shit about violin.
It's hard.
Like, it is. I can't do violin vibrato. Like I just can't wiggle my like. I think it's because I learned. We talked about this before. I learned it on guitar first.
That's a very different instrument.
The weight.
What are you talking about?
The weight of the guitar just like helps you make that vibrato possible. What?
Yeah, it's so hard because like even like so on a guitar you can just play a note. I mean, you have to press down, but the frets aid you. In violin, like you try to play a note, and for the first couple of months, you go like it's not.
And
you want to give up because you're just like, am I ever gonna make a note that doesn't screech?
And your method of like with a guitar too, like you don't have to use a pick. You can use your fingers and do finger style. Whereas like violin, you're very limited with finger style to pizzicato versus like a guitar. You can still strum. You can still have dynamics with the pick. You could use your fingers. You could use Jimmy Page and do a violin bow, and like you could do. I feel like that's what's beautiful about the guitar is it's so versatile and it's evolved over time that like all 4 of us have different styles and approaches to it, and we all sit here like kind of being like, oh, how do you do it?
Like,
yeah. I think it's time to wrap up here, guys. Thank you so much, Haley. It's been really great talking to you. As a person that sings and plays guitar, I really enjoy just talking about kind of that bridge between the two, because I know a lot of players sing and play, and to your point, not only on stage but just at home, just for fun, just to relax and just to really, I guess like enjoy life to the fullest. So thank you for all the discussion and talk about the guitar and singing and everything. So I'll leave it to you to play us out. But first, please follow Haley Demo's music on Instagram and check out her song, Say Your Truth. Sorry, I'm so bad.
Speak Your Truth. It's okay.
Speak Your Truth.
You just got to speak your truth, and that's what you thought it was. So that's fine.
But it was wrong.
It was your truth.
Shame.
Now we go back to the strict choral singing, only operatic singing, and only chugging.
That would be a cool way to play us out. Is just like Fortuna.
I can hear your thoughts and emotions laying through the strings. Did my music reach past your eardrums? Add a touch of color to your soul. Oh.